Imagine standing under a starlit desert sky, hearing a promise so incredible it feels impossible, a promise of countless descendants when hope seems lost. What would you do? Stay with us to uncover how this story of faith, doubt, and redemption changes everything. By the end, you'll see this ancient tale in a way you've never imagined. The story begins with a dramatic scene of Abraham, a man of deep faith, standing beneath a starlit desert sky. God promises Abraham descendants as numerous as the stars, despite his wife Sarah's barrenness. Confusion and hope mix as Abraham ponders this monumental covenant. The once vibrant Sarah has grown weary over the years. Her heart aches with an emptiness that no riches or comforts can fill. The laughter of other women with their children pierces her soul like arrows, each chuckle reminding her of what she lacks. Despite the love between her and Abraham, the shadow of barrenness looms over their relationship. One evening, as Sarah sits by the entrance of their sprawling tent, gazing into the amber glow of a setting sun, Abraham joins her. Their conversations are tender but laced with an undercurrent of pain. Abraham speaks of God's promise, the vision of stars, and the assurance of descendants. Sarah listens but struggles to believe. "How can it be?" she whispers, her voice trembling. "I am old. My womb is like the dry earth outside." Abraham reassures her, though his own faith wavers. The promise is a beacon of hope, yet its fulfillment feels impossibly distant. Sarah, desperate to reconcile her doubt, wrestles with her role in this divine plan. Hagar enters Abraham and Sarah's household with quiet dignity, serving faithfully as Sarah's Egyptian maidservant. Sarah, noticing her calm demeanor, sees Hagar as a potential solution to her own torment over childlessness. In their time, a barren wife could offer her servant as a surrogate, and the child would be legally hers. Sarah suggests this to Abraham, her voice steady but hands trembling. Though hesitant, Abraham agrees, and Sarah arranges the union. Hagar, obedient yet conflicted, feels a mix of fear, curiosity, and ambition. The arrangement sets the stage for future discord. Hagar is taken into Abraham's quarters, not out of love but necessity, and the weight of the decision affects everyone. The household atmosphere shifts, and Sarah feels a growing distance from Abraham. When Hagar becomes pregnant, her confidence rises, and she begins to hold herself with pride, which irritates Sarah. Tensions escalate when Sarah accuses Hagar of mocking her, and Abraham, caught between them, tells Sarah to handle it. Sarah's pain turns into harshness, and Hagar becomes increasingly isolated. Unable to endure the hostility, Hagar flees into the wilderness, seeking escape from the turmoil. In the wilderness, Hagar stumbles, exhausted and without provisions, her only companion, the child growing within her. When she finds a spring, she collapses, tears mixing with the water. At her lowest point, the angel of the Lord appears, asking, "Hagar, where have you come from, and where are you going?" Hagar, unafraid, shares her pain. The angel tells her to return to Sarah, promising to multiply her descendants and that her son will be named Ishmael, as the Lord has heard her misery. Strengthened, Hagar drinks from the spring, names it Bir Lahai Roi, and begins her journey back with a renewed purpose. Hagar returns to Abraham's camp, carrying not just her child, but a profound sense of divine reassurance. Despite the tension that still lingers between her and Sarah, her heart is steadied by the promise of God. As the months pass, her child grows within her, and she prepares for the life ahead. When the time comes, the camp gathers outside her tent, the air heavy with anticipation. Inside, the cries of childbirth echo, and at last, Ishmael is born. Abraham, moved by the sight of his firstborn son, holds the infant close, naming him Ishmael as the angel instructed. Ishmael, meaning God has heard, is a living testament to Hagar's perseverance and faith. Though the household now includes a child, the unease between Sarah and Hagar remains. Sarah, while outwardly acknowledging Ishmael as part of the family, feels an undercurrent of resentment and fear. Ishmael's arrival brings joy to Abraham, but it also sets the stage for future discord as the promises of God seem to shift focus. Ishmael grows into a lively and curious child, his laughter filling the camp with life. Hagar watches him with pride, shielding him from the complexities of their household. Abraham takes Ishmael under his wing, teaching him the ways of the desert, how to navigate the stars, find water, and care for livestock. The bond between father and son grows strong, but Sarah watches with a wary eye. She feels her place in Abraham's heart threatened, and her longing for her own child becomes all-consuming. The camp itself reflects this tension, as servants whisper and take sides. Hagar becomes more assertive, buoyed by her son's presence, while Sarah becomes increasingly isolated. One night, Sarah's emotions boil over. She confronts Abraham, accusing him of neglecting her. Abraham listens, but is torn. Ishmael is his son, and yet he cannot ignore Sarah's pain. This domestic unease sets the stage for what is to come, as God's covenant with Abraham takes a pivotal turn. While praying alone, God appears to Abraham and reaffirms his covenant, promising that Sarah will bear him a son. Abraham, astonished, falls in reverence, but asks, "Oh, that Ishmael might live under your blessing." God assures him that while Isaac will inherit the covenant, Ishmael will also be blessed and become the father of 12 princes. Torn but grateful, Abraham is instructed to circumcise all males in his household, including Ishmael. Back at camp, Abraham follows God's command, and though only 13, Ishmael bravely undergoes the ritual, marking his place in the covenant. The camp erupts in celebration when Sarah miraculously gives birth to Isaac. Abraham's joy is unmatched, and Sarah, who once doubted, now feels vindicated. The arrival of Isaac changes the dynamics within the family. As the covenant child, he is showered with attention, and Sarah becomes fiercely protective. Ishmael, now a young man, watches from the periphery. While he loves his younger brother, the shift in attention stings. Hagar feels this as well, sensing the precariousness of her and Ishmael's place in the household. During the grand feast held for Isaac's weaning, tensions rise. Ishmael, in a moment of youthful exuberance, is seen laughing and playing near Isaac. Sarah interprets this as mockery and confronts Abraham. "Cast out this bondwoman and her son," she demands. "For the son of this bondwoman shall not be heir with my son, Isaac." Abraham is deeply troubled, but ultimately seeks God's guidance. God instructs Abraham to listen to Sarah, assuring him that Ishmael will also become a great nation. With a heavy heart, Abraham prepares to send Hagar and Ishmael away. Early one morning, he gives them a small supply of bread and water, placing it on Hagar's shoulder. His gaze lingers on Ishmael, who stands stoically but with tears in his eyes. The parting is painful for both father and son, but Abraham trusts in God's promise. Hagar and Ishmael wander into the wilderness of Beersheba. The harsh sun beats down on them as they traverse the barren land, their supplies quickly dwindling. When the water runs out, Hagar places Ishmael under a shrub, unable to bear watching him die. She moves a distance away and weeps. At that moment, God hears Ishmael's cries and sends an angel to Hagar. The angel points her to a well of water nearby and reassures her of God's promise. Ishmael will survive and become a great nation. Strengthened by this divine intervention, Hagar revives Ishmael and leads him to the water, their hope restored. Hagar stumbles toward the well, her heart pounding with a mixture of desperation and relief. She dips her hands into the cool water, splashing her face and drinking deeply. Revitalized, she rushes to Ishmael, who lies weak under the shrub. She lifts him gently, pressing a handful of water to his parched lips. As his strength begins to return, Hagar looks upward, tears streaming down her face, and thanks God for his intervention. The angel's words echo in her mind. Ishmael will become a great nation. From that moment, the well becomes a symbol of hope and renewal, a tangible reminder of God's promises. Hagar names the place Bir Lahai Roy, the well of the living one who sees me. Strengthened in body and spirit, she and Ishmael set out to carve a new life in the wilderness, leaving the shadows of Abraham's camp behind them. Ishmael grows into a strong and resourceful young man under Hagar's guidance. They settle in the wilderness of Paran, a harsh but fitting backdrop for their nomadic lifestyle. Ishmael learns to hunt, build shelters, and navigate the unforgiving desert terrain. Hagar watches with pride as he becomes a leader among the scattered tribes they encounter. Ishmael's reputation as a skilled archer spreads, and soon he is sought after for his prowess in protecting caravans and livestock. Hagar, meanwhile, secures an Egyptian wife for him, ensuring that his lineage will endure. Despite the challenges of their environment, they thrive, building a small but influential community in the wilderness. However, Ishmael never forgets his origins or the father who sent him away. Deep within him, a mixture of gratitude for his survival and a longing for reconciliation with Abraham lingers, shaping the man he becomes. As Ishmael matures, the prophecy of his lineage begins to unfold. Hagar recalls the angel's words, "He will father 12 princes." The promise seems almost inconceivable in their isolated life, but signs of its fulfillment emerge. Ishmael's natural charisma and leadership draw others to him, forming the foundation of a tribal network. Hagar encourages him to embrace his destiny, reminding him of God's faithfulness. Ishmael begins to plan for his descendants, envisioning a future where his people flourish in the harsh but fertile lands they inhabit. He dreams of cities rising from the deserts, trade routes spanning nations, and his name remembered for generations. Though his path is separate from Isaac's, Ishmael finds solace in the knowledge that God has not abandoned him. His journey becomes one of turning a painful past into a legacy of strength and resilience. Many years later, word reaches Ishmael that Abraham has passed away. Though estranged, Ishmael feels a deep pull to honor his father. He sets out for Mamre, where Abraham is to be buried in the cave of Machpelah. Upon arriving, he finds Isaac already there, grieving silently. The two brothers exchange a long, somber glance, their shared pain breaking the silence. Together, they lay their father to rest, working side by side to honor the man who shaped their destinies. In that moment, past tensions seem to dissolve, replaced by a shared respect for their heritage. Though they go their separate ways after the burial, the act of reconciliation leaves a lasting impression on both men. Ishmael departs with a renewed sense of peace, his bond with Isaac providing closure to the fractures of their shared history. Ishmael's legacy begins to take shape as his descendants grow into powerful tribes spread across the desert regions. True to the prophecy, he fathers 12 sons, each becoming a leader of a great clan. These tribes establish trade routes, forming the backbone of commerce in the Arabian Peninsula. Ishmael's people are known for their independence, resourcefulness, and fierce loyalty. Over time, they are referred to as Ishmaelites, a testament to their ancestors' enduring impact. Though his path diverged from the covenant made with Isaac, Ishmael's life reflects God's promise of blessing and prosperity. His story becomes a symbol of resilience, showing that even those outside the direct line of promise are not forgotten by God. As Ishmael's nation thrives, his memory is preserved in the oral traditions of his people, ensuring that his name endures for generations to come. As you hear Sarah's story, let me ask you, how would you react if faced with a promise you believed was impossible? Would you hold on to hope or take matters into your own hands? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear your perspective. As Ishmael ages, his family grows, fulfilling the promise that he would father 12 princes. Each of Ishmael's sons, bearing strong and determined characters, begins to lead their own clan. Their names Nebaioth, Kedar, Adbeel, Mibsam, Mishma, Duma, Massa, Hadid, Tema, Jeter, Naphish, and Kedema become synonymous with prosperity and leadership. These tribes spread across the desert, each carving out its domain and thriving under Ishmael's guidance. Ishmael, now an elder, gathers his family under the stars for a final blessing. He speaks of the angel's promise and reminds them of their shared destiny. His words carry the weight of his own journey from the son cast out to the founder of a great nation. Each son kneels before him, pledging to honor his legacy. As they disperse into the desert, Ishmael watches with pride, knowing his name will endure through their strength and unity. The tribes of Ishmael become a dominant force in the Arabian Peninsula. Known for their fierce independence, they establish themselves as key players in trade and diplomacy. Ishmaelites become known as caravan leaders, their routes connecting distant lands from Mesopotamia to Egypt. Their camels, bred for endurance, are a symbol of their ingenuity. Ishmael's descendants are not just traders, but also warriors, skilled in defending their territories. Ishmael himself serves as a unifying figure, mediating disputes and ensuring his sons honor their commitments to one another. His wisdom and experience guide his people through years of prosperity, and his influence reaches beyond his immediate family, shaping the culture of the region. His legacy grows, cementing his place in history as a patriarch of the desert. Hagar, too, leaves an indelible mark on history. Her resilience and faith inspired generations of women within Ishmael's tribes. Known as the mother of a nation, she is revered for her strength in adversity and her role in Ishmael's rise. Stories of her encounter with the angel and her discovery of the well are passed down as sacred tales, symbolizing divine provision and endurance. As Ishmael's tribes flourish, Hagar becomes a central figure in their collective identity, her name spoken with respect and reverence. Her final years are spent in peace, surrounded by her grandchildren. When she passes, the tribes honor her with a grand ceremony, marking her place as the matriarch of their people. As Ishmael's descendants spread across the Arabian Peninsula, they lay the foundations for future civilizations. The region becomes a hub of trade and culture, with Ishmaelite tribes contributing significantly to its development. Their influence is seen in the rise of cities, the establishment of trade routes, and the blending of cultural traditions. The Ishmaelites maintain a balance between their nomadic roots and the growing complexities of settled life. They become known as custodians of wisdom, their oral traditions preserving the stories of their origins and their covenant with God. Ishmael's role as a patriarch resonates deeply, influencing the identity of the Arabian people for centuries to come. The Ishmaelites thrive in the face of challenges, their resilience a testament to their heritage. They navigate conflicts with neighboring tribes and forge alliances when necessary. Their reputation as skilled negotiators and formidable warriors ensures their survival and success. Ishmael's teachings of unity, faith, and perseverance become guiding principles for his descendants. The memory of his journey, from outcast to patriarch, serves as a source of strength. As they expand their influence, the Ishmaelites remain connected to their roots, honoring the covenant God made with their forefather and embracing the unique role they play in history. In his later years, Ishmael reflects on the life he has lived. Sitting atop a high dune, he watches the sun dip below the horizon, the desert painted in shades of gold and crimson. Memories flood his mind, the tears of his mother in the wilderness, the words of the angel, the embrace of his father, and the birth of his own children. Ishmael's life has been a testament to survival, faith, and resilience. Despite being cast out, he found his purpose in God's promise, and his lineage stands as proof of that fulfillment. His sons gather around him, seeking his wisdom, and he speaks of humility, courage, and trust in God. Though his journey was fraught with trials, Ishmael finds peace in knowing that his descendants will carry forward the legacy he built. His final days are spent in quiet reflection, surrounded by the love of his family and the enduring strength of the tribes he fathered. Ishmael passes away at the age of 137, surrounded by his family. His sons carry out a solemn burial, laying him to rest in the wilderness he loved and conquered. The tribes mourn their patriarch, but his legacy lives on. The stories of Ishmael, from his miraculous survival as a child to his rise as a leader of nations, are passed down through generations. His influence reaches beyond his immediate descendants, inspiring neighboring peoples and shaping the cultural fabric of the region. Ishmael's name becomes synonymous with resilience, a testament to the faithfulness of God, even to those who dwell outside the direct covenant. The descendants of Ishmael, known as Ishmaelites, grow into a powerful and diverse people. They are renowned as traders, warriors, and nomads, forging an identity that influences the cultures of the Arabian Peninsula. Through their trade routes, they connect distant regions, bringing goods, ideas, and innovations. Their reputation as fierce warriors earns them respect, while their diplomatic skills make them sought-after allies. Ishmael's 12 sons established tribal dynasties that endure for centuries, and their legacy becomes woven into the fabric of Middle Eastern history. Ishmael's story resonates with profound spiritual lessons. His life symbolizes perseverance in the face of rejection, the fulfillment of God's promises, and the strength found in faith. Ishmael reminds us that even those outside the direct line of the covenant are not forgotten by God. His survival in the wilderness teaches the importance of trusting divine provision, while his role as a patriarch highlights the value of leadership and unity. For those who feel cast aside or overlooked, Ishmael's journey offers hope and inspiration, showing that God's plans are greater than human expectations. Ishmael's significance extends beyond his immediate descendants, influencing the Abrahamic faiths. In Judaism, he is acknowledged as Abraham's firstborn, though not the covenantal heir. In Christianity, his life is viewed as a foreshadowing of the struggle between human effort and divine promise. The Apostle Paul uses Ishmael and Isaac to illustrate the contrast between the old covenant of the law and the new covenant of grace. In Islam, Ishmael is revered as an ancestor of the Prophet Muhammad and a central figure in their heritage. His story unites the Abrahamic faiths while also highlighting their theological distinctions. Ishmael's descendants play a foundational role in shaping Arab identity. Their nomadic traditions, cultural practices, and tribal systems influence the Arabian Peninsula for millennia. Ishmael's name becomes synonymous with strength and endurance, forming a key part of Arab genealogical and cultural narratives. His story is celebrated in poetry, oral traditions, and historical texts, serving as a unifying figure for many Arab communities. The connection to Ishmael becomes a source of pride, linking the Arab people to the legacy of Abraham and the divine promises of the past. Ishmael's connection to water, particularly the life-giving well in the wilderness, becomes a metaphorical and literal cornerstone of his people's survival. The well discovered by Hagar is revered not only for its miraculous timing, but also for its representation of divine intervention and renewal. Ishmael's descendants inherit this reverence, transforming wells into centers of settlement and trade. These wells become meeting points for tribes, places of negotiation, and symbols of prosperity in the harsh desert. They represent the resilience of a people who carved a thriving existence from arid landscapes. Ishmael, in his later years, often visits these wells, reflecting on how they mirror his own journey born in adversity, flourishing against the odds. His legacy includes the establishment of reliable water sources that sustain life and commerce, ensuring the continuity of his people's growth and influence. Ishmael's descendants establish vast trade networks across the Arabian Peninsula, known for their expertise in traversing the desert's treacherous terrain. These routes connect distant lands, from Mesopotamia and Egypt to the Mediterranean and the Indian Ocean. The caravans carry spices, silk, and incense, making the Ishmaelites central figures in ancient commerce. Their knowledge of the stars, water sources, and desert trails makes them indispensable allies and formidable competitors. Ishmael's foresight in teaching his sons the skills of navigation and negotiation ensures their dominance in this field. Over generations, these routes become arteries of wealth and cultural exchange, cementing the Ishmaelite tribe's influence in history. Ishmael's legacy as a pioneer of survival extends to the economic lifelines his descendants create, shaping the region's prosperity for centuries. Ishmael's story transcends his immediate descendants, impacting the broader narrative of the Abrahamic faiths. In Judaism, Ishmael is acknowledged as Abraham's firstborn, but not the son of the covenant. Yet, his place in the narrative underscores the universality of God's blessings. Christianity views Ishmael as a symbol of natural effort versus divine intervention, a key element in understanding grace through faith. In Islam, Ishmael is a revered patriarch, believed to have played a role in the establishment of the Kaaba alongside Abraham. His resilience, faith, and divine promise are celebrated, making him a unifying figure across faiths. While interpretations vary, Ishmael's legacy as a father of nations and a recipient of God's blessing resonates deeply, offering a lens through which the shared heritage of these faiths can be explored. Ishmael's life is a testament to the power of faith, resilience, and divine purpose. Cast out into the wilderness, he rose to become a patriarch of nations, his descendants flourishing across the Arabian Peninsula and beyond. His journey reminds us that even those who feel forgotten or cast aside have a place in God's grand design. Ishmael's descendants, the Ishmaelites, live on as a symbol of strength and unity, shaping the cultures, trade, and history of the Middle East. His story continues to inspire, serving as a bridge between traditions and a reminder of the enduring power of God's promises. Ishmael's legacy is not only etched in history, but also in the hearts of those who see in him the potential for redemption and greatness despite life's challenges. His name endures, echoing across time as the father of nations and a testament to the boundless reach of God's blessings. This story reminds us that even in the wilderness, when all seems lost, there's a wellspring of hope waiting to be discovered. If this resonated with you, hit the like button, share your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe for more stories that inspire and uplift. And don't forget to share this with someone who needs a reminder of hope today.